Hello everyone. I'd like to take this opportunity to update you on the consultation process that's underway with regard to the closure of the defined benefit arrangements in the BSPS for new joiners. We announced our intention in January and wrote to all of you as a part of this consultation process in July, receiving around 1,500 replies. So as part of this process, I'd like to update you on the following areas: the company's position with regard to the BSPS, why we're proposing to close the scheme to new joiners, and the feedback we've received. Also, I'd like to cover where we've reached in our discussions with the trade unions and when we're proposing to close the BSPS to new joiners. So, before I move into the other areas, let me summarise with the help of one or two slides the company's position with regard to BSPS, and also why we've been discussing closure to new joiners and what other options the company has considered. We'll continue to support the future accrual of pension in the scheme for existing employees, all of you, so long as the costs remain affordable to the company. The contribution rates at the moment are 12% from the employer and 6% from the employees, and these remain in place until 2011. It is true that the cost of future accrual has been, is and will continue to be under pressure, and we have in the past agreed with employees and trade unions ways to manage to keep the scheme affordable and sustainable, and we will seek to continue to find ways to achieve this. We're now looking at a fund that, when the annual funding update is issued later this year, is expected to show a deficit, and is also, because of the lower risk assets, unlikely to produce future surpluses. The fund, however, will still need to cope with continued improvements in mortality. So the company, to manage these risks, set the following objectives, which are on the slide you're looking at now. The company then considered a number of options to achieve these goals and concluded that the proposal that achieved the company goals with least impact was to close the scheme to new joiners. So this is why we announced our intention in January and have been consulting with trade unions and employees since. The employee consultation, as I said, we received over 1,500 responses from the letter in early July. These came via email and letter, and they've all been reviewed by our advisors, the Pensions Office, the Communications and the Reward teams. Comments and questions fell broadly into the following categories. Around 1,200 were straightforward objections in principle to the proposal. The next largest group expressed concern that this was a first stage to complete closure, with some citing Tetley Tea, where the scheme closed completely. Because the Tetley situation happened soon after Tata bought them, it was suggested that Tata had been responsible for this closure. This is not the case. The Tetley scheme was in poor shape, and it was action that Tetley had planned to take in any event. Others were clearly concerned as the current funding position of the BSPS, with some people perhaps misunderstanding how defined benefit final salary pension schemes operate and are funded. And finally, we had a number, though in all honesty a small number, expressing support for the planned changes. We will of course address all these issues in a letter which will be sent to you shortly. As no alternatives have come forward to satisfactorily deal with the risks any other way, the company continues to believe the proposal to close the scheme to new joiners is the best way forward, and as such proposes to do this on the 21st of September this year. The facts that I've run through today are common to most UK defined benefit pension schemes, and you'll have seen that most companies closed their schemes to new joiners several years ago. The causes relate to long-term trends, mostly mortality, not short-term economics. And although I understand how unpopular such decisions are, this is an action that we're required to take as a responsible employer to protect and support the BSPS for its existing members.